where people can talk about, learn, and improve their skills at Warhammer 40k.
Our channel has live stream competitive matches of 40k, played by the best players in the world.
And we focus on teaching you how to get better at Warhammer, while also emphasizing sportsmanship and engagement with our audience.
We strive to play every faction in the game to a top level, while also using a variety of lists to show off different playstyles for every faction.
We also offer a variety of other videos such as codex reviews, faction rankings, tactics videos.
We emphasize learning and positive conversation about competitive 40k.
You get early access to our videos, sub badges, emotes, as well as rewatch those hangout and hobby sessions.
Joining our community is a great way for you to show your support for us, so we can keep making awesome videos for you and continuously expand the bounds of competitive 40k.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Art of War stream. I'm Richard Siegler. This is the John Lennon.
It is. I'm John Lennon.
And we're here to talk to you about some Grey Knights. All right? They got a codex. We've got it. We played a couple of stream games with them. I've been testing out different ideas. But John and I are going to kind of go through some of the key rules of the book and what you want to build around. And, start talking about the matchup tomorrow, which is me playing Grey Knights, into John playing his Ultramarine successors.
Absolutely. I'm going to be playing the Emperor's Spears tomorrow, but those secrets will be unlocked tomorrow. Today, we're talking about all the Grey Knight tech that we'll be showing off tomorrow.
Definitely, and they're really a techie army now. So, baseline, what ended up happening? Let's just do a little recap of massive lag.
Massive lag. Uh-oh.
A lot of stuttering. Let me see.
Not what I like.
YouTube not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Wonder if any of the settings on here can be changed.
Well, SF says that they can hear us.
It looks good so far.
Well, thank you, SF. Let's just wait and see if anyone else has positive things to say. Smooth now?
Okay. If anything happens, just let us know immediately, and we can think about just restarting this stream.
Man.
But anyway,
all right. Grey Knights.
Grey Knights.
That was the smoothest transition we've ever done. We're back to talking Grey Knights.
That's how smooth Grey Knights
That's how smooth Grey Knights are.
Anyway, let's give
Smooth
a little
as a shark.
Let's give a little synopsis of what Grey Knights were like in 8th edition, just so we have context for this book. So, 8th edition Grey Knights, they have nerf smite, and then for a while it wasn't. They could just cast it on 5s. Then Games Workshop put in the nerf where every successive smite was a minus, and you needed the Brother Captain get to 12-inch range. There was never any super smites. However, with Psychic Awakening, when that came out, they got a ton of really brilliant rules, especially a tide system. And this tide system let them do things like 2 mortal wounds on a smite, or 4 against demons. With their psi weapons, you could get +1 strength, +1 damage. So silencers went from D3 to D3 +1. Psi cannons went to 2 damage. So they became a really powerful shooting army when comboed with Astrolabe, which was a power to ignore line of sight and cover. And so you'd stack a lot of buffs on one Terminator unit or Paladin unit, shoot away a couple key elements of your opponents, and then try and throw some defensive buffs on whatever stood out on objectives, whether those were Purifiers, whether those were Paladins or Terminator units, or even just basic Strike Marines. Give them Sanctuary, have warding staves with +1 invuln in combat. You can make them -1 to wound, stuff like that. So you try and just keep things alive while taking away resources with shooting.
Yeah. I think one of the common themes of Grey Knights in 8th and early 9th edition was that they were too fragile and expensive per model to really be a brawling army. Where you can maybe make one unit hyper durable at most, but the army itself didn't want to just get stuck in. It wanted to be choosing the engagements, picking away where it could, play a little bit of a non-interactive game, and by either giving your opponent no targets or only one fully buffed target that was hard to deal with.
Definitely.
And then the rest of it was, just not really getting punched. And that playstyle definitely feels like it's changed a lot.
Completely changed. It's gone. In fact.
Yep.
In fact, it's gone. It's not even a viable style anymore.
Good.
So we'll get to why when we look at some of the specific rules. But on top of that, John noted that their models were very expensive for their points. On top of that, they also lacked AP in a lot of places, both shooting and combat. You needed to really get a Chaplain Litany off to get extra AP in shooting and combat, and that really helped them do damage against a lot of the good armor save units that were in the game. On top of that, range was also a limiting factor. They were pretty much in that like 24-inch range category, and so dealing with long-range threats was pretty difficult. However, Grey Knights had some amazing mobility tricks, and they've continued with some of those here. They lost a couple, but gained a couple in different ways. So let's just jump into the book and start looking at some of the rules here. And we should start, of course, with what their chapter tactic became. Because for a while,
it was +1 to cast, right?
+1 to cast, which for an army that's trying to cast, Grey Knights only had one psychic tree in their codex, but they got a second one in Psychic Awakening, which added a lot of really powerful spells for their characters. +1 to cast was just amazing. They had other ways to get pluses to cast, whether through relics or stratagems, and so very consistently you could be rolling like 3s and still getting powers off. So Grey Knights were an extremely consistent psychic army. Now they've lost the +1 to cast, they've maintained the +1 to deny, so very good against other psychers, and they've gained a 5-up Feel No Pain against mortal wounds. So explosion results, random mortal strats that are happening, other psychic powers that are doing mortals, Catan powers, they're able to actually have defense against that.
It's the exploding tanks that does it for me. There's nothing better than being so faithful that a fireball is just not as effective as normal.
Well, when an orc vehicle careens into you, you need to be real careful.
You gotta be real careful.
I haven't seen that pulled off, but gosh, when it happens, it's gonna be sad.
Oh boy.
All right, so the Aegis. Now, straight up, this is not one of the most powerful traits in the game.
I think it's a side grade.
I feel like this is probably one of the worst traits in the game for an army.
I will concede 9th edition, but there's a lot of 8th edition books that would give their soul for something half as relevant as the Aegis.
9th edition codexes.
Okay. 9th edition codex, it's definitely it's below par.
I think it's one of the worst ones out there. Doesn't mean it's terrible. It has its uses, but honestly, losing +1 to cast is huge, and unfortunately, the Thousand Suns took it.
The Thousand Suns did take it.
They took it, and Games Workshop did not believe in getting multiple pluses to cast for different armies. So I think this is a downgrade for Grey Knights in my opinion. Their psychic phase just isn't as consistent as it used to be, and we'll get to some of the powers later because they didn't go down to reflect the loss of +1 to cast.
So they got their 5-up Feel No Pain against mortal wounds, and then they got their their +1 to deny. So they definitely feel a lot more anti-psychic than before. Because ironically, one of Grey Knight's weaknesses last month was mortal wounds, because not only did they not actually have anything special there, they also were 1 wound at the time, which only felt worse. It wasn't great, but at least they fixed that.
Their defense against mortals is actually solid now.
It's actually impressive.
It's one of the better in the game.
It's like, I think it's with Black Templar is the best.
So benefits there, but obviously that's not going to put a whole codex on its back. So what else did they get? Well, they got Brotherhood Command. You can now only have 1 Grandmaster and 1 Brother Captain per detachment, similar to what Space Marines got. You can't. They just don't want you stacking the same type of models. Like when are 3 Grandmasters going to show up from the same Brotherhood? Probably pretty darn infrequently.
One would think so.
And then they got Brotherhood of Psychers. And this is just how to build the armies and how to access stratagems. All right. Then on top of that, they got some really cool brotherhoods. So this is basically their sub factions. There's a lot of them in here. I'm gonna just hit the highlights. I know people were very pumped about sword bearers early, and that was because they got a really cool psychic power, which helps their vehicles. 18-inch power, warp charge 7. For any of your vehicles that target that unit that has the psychic power on it, you get +1 to wound for your vehicles. So Grandmasters, Nemesis Dread Knights, and then you also have your Dreadnoughts and the other tanks.
Can you hear that? It sounds like all the Iron Hand players are crying.
This is a legitimately good spell. Once again, it goes off on a 7, so without pluses to cast, it's a little iffy whether it's going to go off.
When it does.
But when it does, it dramatically helps. If you want to run multiple Dread Knights, if you want to run the Grandmaster and Dread Knight armor as well, this detachment is one of the ones that's going to look pretty for you. Then Mark for Death is a 2 CP strat. You pick a target within 12, and you get +1 to hit against it for any friendly sword bearers unit. So also, I want all my Dread Knights hitting on 2s, and they're just going to pound into this one unit. Decently efficient. 2 CP, a little pricey, but it's for your whole army. But it is 12-inch range, so you have to be pretty close. But Grey Knights are a mid-range to close-range army anyway.
If you build for it, I can see the value. You don't have to, right? You know, if you're not taking vehicles, then why take sword bearers? But I get it.
Then there was the Warlord trait, which is you pick a friendly vehicle within 12, and it gets if you do this psychic action, it gets a 4-up invul. So I know people were immediately like, Storm Ravens?
Land Raiders?
Land Raiders?
I mean, the 4-up invul is why we weren't taking Land Raiders before, right? If they had an invul, we would have taken them. That's what I've always thought. So, come on, you can give those Hurricane Bolters +1 to wound.
You can
Grey Knights actually take the Land Raider Crusader? Can they take all 3, or do they just have cannons?
They can take them.
Yes.
So.
All right, Land Raiders are coming back, folks.
I still don't think the Storm Raven is good enough to justify this, and of course it's a psychic action, so you're not doing your other powers. Yeah. But if you were going to run it, this would be the one to do it. So we've seen more vehicle-heavy types of Grey Knight lists going towards Sword Bearers. I think it's a decent Brotherhood. Okay. Blades of Victory. Its most interesting thing is it has essentially the equivalent of Space Marine's Hammer of Wrath, and that is every model engagement range. If I equally beat your toughness characteristic, you take a mortal. It's a good strat.
From experience, the Hammer of Wrath is just really good into some armies, and you just never use it into others. But when you use it, it is really nice. So I don't dislike that at all.
Yeah, it's not bad. However, Grey Knights actually hit extremely hard in combat now because they got the extra attacks. Yeah. So you are pretty much picking up those cheap T3 type of things now, especially because halberds are now strength 6, AP 2 damage. Yeah. Those things are just going away. So not as concerned about trying to do the mortals, but if this was a generic strat, it would be nice to have in your back pocket, but it's hard to build around that. And then you have Vanguard Aggression, which is the pregame move for your Warlord and a core unit within 9. 6-inch pregame move. Grey Knights, unfortunately, don't have Infiltrator access, which is a little unfortunate because it's so powerful in the game right now, this particular meta. So this is one way to help defend against that. But once again, you're building one of your detachments around this, and it's probably not good enough to do so. We've got Prescient Brotherhood. This is one that I really like a lot. It has a 1 CP strat called Foresight, which you pick a Psyker unit, so this could be your Grandmaster and Dread Knight armor. 1 CP, rerolls hits and wounds of 1 in the shooting phase.
Yeah, that's just really good.
It's just a good...
especially because you don't have it a Lieutenant aura, right?
No, they do. Brother Captains are now the Lieutenants.
Oh.
So Grandmasters are the Captains, and Brother Captains are now Lieutenants. However, they are Brotherhood locked, and they only work on core. This gets around that, so your Grandmasters and Dread Knight armor, even though they're not core, can reroll wounds.
It does require a Psyker.
Yep, which the Grandmaster and Dread Knight armor is.
Is the Land Raider a Psyker?
No, not the...
So no Land Raiders.
No, John.
Okay.
Put the Land Raiders in the back of your mind, because we're not going to talk about them. I don't think you're going to be seeing Land Raiders. But on the Grandmaster, I think this is actually quite good.
Yeah.
And then their Psychic Power, not going to be used as often, but when it comes up, it's actually pretty cool. You pick a unit within 12 inches of the Psyker, and each time that unit does a normal move, advances, falls back, or makes a charge move, you roll a d6. On a 4 to 5, they take d3 mortals. On a 6, flat 3 mortals. So if something really wants to hit you, and it's going to, White Scar's Vanguard vet unit, advance across the map and charge you, you have 2 opportunities killing a model or 2, and that could be the difference between a unit surviving or not. So, of course, it's short range, you have to set it up, but Grey Knights do have the mobility tricks to kind of do stuff like that. And it could matter late game when a wounded unit really needs to do something, and you end up plopping a bunch of mortals on it for no reason. So, not the worst Psychic Power. And then its Warlord trait I really like. It's a Psychic action, and it's Warp Charge 6. If it goes off, you gain a CP. Grey Knights used to have a Psychic Power that just did that, and you stack the Sanctic Shard, and you get +2 to cast it on a reroll, and you just pretty much get an auto CP back. Outside of just getting one in your command phase, this is the only way they can regen CP, outside of getting the Inquisitors or other allies.
So, without going too far into the stratagem section, we think we need a lot of CP in this army?
There's a lot of 1 CP strats that are actually quite powerful, and then a couple 2 CP strats that you might be using at least once or twice per game. So I definitely think Grey Knights do want...
some CP access?
Some CP access.
Okay.
You don't need to start with Custodious amount of CP, but if you start with a good amount and regain a couple, you'll be in a good spot.
All right, I like it.
I actually really like this Warlord trait and having access to it. Preservers, it buffs your Dreadnoughts, and this is the one where you can get the Psychic Power for a potential 5-up Phenopane aura from your Apothecary.
An aura?
Yep, so the Apothecary is just like the Space Marine one now with the 6-inch aura of... it has the aura of 6 of Phenopane. You can make it 5 of Phenopane if you get this Psychic Power off.
Interesting.
So
5
only works against on your infantry, but of course, that's the bulk of a Grey Knight army. However, you do need to get the psychic power off. It's only a 6, but not automatic.
Yeah, only a 6.
I'm
sure there are some ways to buff powers.
The other cool thing is the Warlord trait is +3 inch range to the aura abilities of the Warlord.
For that...
That is not an aura. So the 5 of Pain is not an aura.
It's not an aura?
No.
Curses.
If it was, I would actually like this one a lot more.
Curses!
But at least the 6 of Pain is longer.
Becomes 6 inches, yeah, okay.
And then you can stack the Grey Knight's got the stratagem for getting a second Warlord trait, so you take the Obsec Warlord trait, and now it's all +3.
For sure.
So that's the combo. It's pretty good, but I think because of the inconsistency of your psychic phase, I'm a little nervous towards relying on this.
Understandable.
Then we have the Rapier's one. This is my personal favorite. I think it's one of the better Brotherhoods, and this is the case of something like Lucius in AdMech, where everything is good. It's all useful. It's all just strong.
Okay.
So what do they get? Well, 1 CP strat, deadly efficacy, and this is used in the fight phase on any of your Rapier's units when it's selected to fight, and then 6 is to hit or an additional hit.
Classic.
So when Grey Knights are putting out tons of volume, their base 3 attacks now, the Sergeant has 4. 6 is to hit. This is super efficient.
Yep. It's a great buff.
Even on something like your Grandmaster, who now has a swipe attack, so can do double the number of attacks, and they're 2 damage. If you're pumping out 12 attacks,
you're going to get some 6s
yeah,
there. Yeah,
you get a couple extra hits.
If you need to kill 10 Orc boys and you need to make it happen, get a couple extra hits in there.
Love that strat. Then you have the Psychic Power, which is a Warp Charge 6. If it goes off, you get +1 to attack to that Psyker's unit.
Solid. +1 attack.
+1 attack.
Never hurts.
Wow, that a lot of attacks.
Warp Charge 6, so relatively passable. You can fail it, but that's not a hard one to pass. It's not like a 7 or 8.
And then finally, the Warlord trait is Advance and Charge on that Warlord.
Okay.
Another great thing to have access to. Advance and Charge, one of the most powerful abilities in the game.
I love it. Grey Knight characters traditionally aren't that fast, right? They usually move 5 or 6.
Most of them are in Terminator.
Grey Knight moves 9, yeah.
Yep. I like it on a Grandmaster because of the threat of it.
Yeah. Grey Knight Terminators move 5, right?
Yes.
Okay. So alright. So a little slow, makes them a little faster.
But if you're trying to rely on something like the Apothecary getting up there, or the
or some
the Brotherhood Ancient to get up there with +1 attack, that could help you get into combat.
That definitely helps a lot. +1 advanced, or not advanced and charge. Advanced and charge. That's it.
All right. There's a couple.
There's still more.
There's more of them. There's 9 of them.
Some people in the chat were mentioning the blades. I don't know if
they want to do silver blades. All right.
Let's talk about silver blades.
So adaptive excoriation. That's a word. Use the strat in your movement phase when a Silver Blade's core unit from your army falls back. That unit can still shoot, even though it fell back. So fall back and shoot, 1 CP. Could be very powerful on a unit like Dread Knights. Yep. However, there is a teleporter keyword in Grey Knights, which you can pay 10 points on a Dread Knight to add the teleporter, or you have Interceptors, which have it, and there's a 1 CP strat that allows you to fall back and shoot and fall back and charge. For teleporters. So, okay. This isn't as necessary as it could have been. If that strat didn't exist, I'd like it even more. Then their Psychic Powers, Warp Charge 5. Till the start of your next Psychic phase, all Stormbolters, Mastercrafted Stormbolters, and Relics that relate to Bolters in the Psyker's unit are treated as Pistol 4 with a range characteristic of 12. So essentially it allows you to shoot into combat. Not sure how powerful this actually is in practice, because Grey Knights, to get extra AP now, they either have to use they have to really use a stratagem on their bolt weapons. So, and a lot of things are going to be in cover when they're in combat, because they're charging into ruins and stuff like that. So, a little skeptical on actually using this. You also have to survive the combat.
It's only Warp Charge 5,
which
does help. It works on Stormbolters and Relics to replace those. Okay.
If it made the heavy weapons pistols, I'd like it a little bit more.
Yeah.
As well, but
I wish it just made it a ranged weapons and a pistol type.
Yeah. I think it's a little overly restricted.
Stormbolters is a little it's okay.
And then the Warlord trait is start of the fight phase. The Warlord can fight first if it's in engagement range, and then the Warlord gets to reroll a hit roll in melee.
Only melee, not shooting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's I think Rapiers are just far superior.
Yeah, I think just a first take, I think I'd agree with you.
So those are those. Next up, Grey Knights have some really cool rules. Each army has been getting a special set of upgrades for their characters.
Yeah, the chapter upgrades we saw in Space Marines. Necrons theoretically have this too. Theoretically, I'm sure it's in there.
AdMech have it in the Holy Order traits, which boy, those are good. So Grey Knights got 2 different sets of them: Visions of the Augorium, and then Gifts of the Prescient. and you pay for the upgrades on a non-named character, and you can have one of the two types.
Yep.
So you can't stack double of them, but you can also have relics at the same time. It doesn't stop you from gaining relics. So of the visions, their Augury of the Aggression is the ability to pick a unit within 12 of that character, and it overwatches on 4s once per game. All of these are once per game.
Once per game.
Overwatch on 4s, it's cool. It's a 20-point upgrade.
When do you pick it?
When they're selected.
When they're selected Firewatch. That actually helps a lot.
So you can kind of set it up, and it's a nice tool to have in your back pocket. Is it worth 20 points? Maybe, maybe not, but I've considered running it just because it works on any Grey Knight's core or character, so you can do it on a Grandmaster. Yep. In Dread Knight armor. Heroism's Favor. Once per battle at the end of your opponent's charge phase, select one Grey Knight core unit within 12, and it can perform a heroic intervention.
Heroic intervention?
This is a cheap one too. It's only 15 points. I thought about using it as well.
Put me in, coach.
Because your opponent trying to set up War Room Trickery doesn't know what unit you're going to use this on.
There is so much War Room Trickery that I don't even want to get into here.
Yeah. This is just good.
Oh, man. It's the awkward part. Oh, no. It's too much. It's too much.
It's too much?
It's too much.
So I haven't taken this just yet, but it's so cheap that I would love to just shove it onto a character.
So who can take these?
Any Grey Knight character that isn't named.
Okay, so it's any character.
Yep.
That's actually valuable.
Yeah.
All right, it's not just like you have to take this guy.
Nope. So it's not linked to particular characters. You just can't throw it onto somebody like Drago, unfortunately.
Okay.
And that is a part with Grey Knights is you only want to spend points on a couple of characters, but the Drago is really good. Yep. He's pretty much in your list. Then a Noble Death is ability to give out OBSEC until the start of your next command phase. It's cool, but you're taking the Warlord trait on Yielding Anvil anyway. So, and it's a 20-point upgrade. So it could be cool for getting OBSEC in an area you wouldn't have it, but because they have that amazing Warlord trait, probably not seeing it as much.
How many points is that?
It's 20.
I'm going to be honest, the name and the rules, there's a big disconnect here. A Noble Death, I feel like it's like when this character dies, he like does something cool. Just OBSEC for it. So what I like the most is that it counts as an additional model.
Yeah.
And honestly, you could just once per game just double the amount of guys you have. Or honestly, if they're already OBSEC, it literally triples it. Like if you have a strike squad of 5-man on the objective, and then they're on Noble Death and the Totally Not Rights of War, then they just count as 15 dudes. And that's very hard to outnumber.
That's very hard to outnumber. But
probably not necessary.
I haven't found it as necessary, but
it's not terrible.
Building it in could swing a game.
Yeah.
That's why I like all three of these, no problem. Then the next one, this is the one that you're seeing the most common because it is very powerful in the current meta, and it's also obviously once per game. Selected Grey Knight's core character that's not within engagement. It can shoot as if it's a shooting phase, but can only target something that was set up as reinforcements within 12 of the unit.
Oh, so it's once per game Auspex can.
Yep.
But the nice part is that no one will ever trigger it because you just keep telling them that it's there.
Exactly. Okay. So you can use this on any of your Interceptor units. You can use it on your
Grandmaster.
Grandmaster.
Costing CP does help.
And there's no range associated with where the character is them.
Oh.
So you don't have to pick a unit within 6 of this character that can.
Oh, so as long as the battle's on the objective.
Yep. So I'm a big fan of that. It's a 30-point upgrade, so it is one of the 2 pricey ones. But gosh darn it, can it help you win games?
Yeah. Nonsense. I noticed. I'm always paying attention.
But yeah, like this is 30 points, but I think the game right now, most people are taking Retrieve Octarius data.
Yeah.
Being able to just be like, if you try it, I'm just going to kill you. It's cool.
Yeah, not spending the CP, no -1 to hit associated with it.
Yep.
It's just generally useful.
It's just good. I think this is the most useful one in the current meta, but I can see definitely arguments for the other two. The next one is just you turn off Overwatch or set to defend once per battle on an enemy unit. And then the last one is being able...
it's 15.
It's 15? It's not bad.
Turning off Overwatch.
And then Foretelling of Locus is after both players have deployed, you select up to 3 Grey Knight core units from your army and you redeploy them. Or you can put them into Strategic Reserve without costing CP.
That's 30?
It's 30.
It's 3 units?
Yeah, up to 3.
That's so worth it.
3 core units.
It's not even... That's an auto take.
The problem is Grey Knight, all their units got Teleport Strike now, so...
I just like redeploys.
Redeploy is great. It's definitely great.
I like redeploy a lot. You know me.
I know you
like
like
redeploys.
It is cool. Like all of these, I think there's situations.
Literally
where you
all
want-
6 of these are like actually pretty decent.
Yeah,
None of those are just like.
None of them are broken. Like this is just silly.
No, none of them are.
But they're all like I could see me using this.
Yeah. I like the foretelling. The redeploy, that feels. I would literally. I cannot imagine a scenario.
I
where
like this
having-
if you're running more Dread Knights. If you're
That's
running a lot
true,
more
yeah.
Dread Knights, I really like it.
Mhm.
Because then you can just put them on the line up front and then put them back behind terrain if needed.
Yeah.
If you go second. But
Yeah, 100%.
in my style, where I'm putting the infantry in cover anyway at a line of sight, it's not as necessary. But obviously, next up is the Gifts of the Prescient. These ones have some less good.
Are these relics?
No, these are the other type of upgrade.
Oh, there's
there's
any-
visions or gifts. Yeah,
Do both?
No, you have to pick one.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it would be cool if you could do both.
Okay.
You really run out of characters to start.
So what's the
adding
difference between the two? So literally just a different page?
them. Different names. Yeah.
Okay.
They're
So
all-
it might as well be the same thing.
These ones aren't. These ones are also once per battle.
Okay.
So they have that same restriction. There's the True Name Shard where you pick a demon unit within 6 of the bear if fight last. So anti-demon thing. Temporal Bombs, you pick a terrain piece and secretly note it. When your opponent walks onto it, on 2-up they take D3 mortals the first time they walk onto it.
That's adorable, but I hope
That's-
that's not more than 10 points.
It is like 10 points. Nope, it's 15.
That's too many. 10 I would have done.
The Servant of the Throne is the good one. This is the one I like the best. Once per battle, for the turn you get a 3-up invuln on the unit. So I love this on a Grandmaster.
Okay,
You have to get the
that's
3-up
pretty
invuln.
good.
Deluminator of Majesty is you pick a bolt weapon. When it shoots, if it hits against a demon unit in the shooting phase, they lose all aura abilities, in addition to the normal damage.
Ooh.
Anti-demon.
Okay.
When demons finally get a good aura, this is how you shut them down.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Then there's the Gem of Inoctu, and this is once per battle. When the bear is about to cast powers from the Dominus Discipline, you get +2 when they attempt to cast.
Okay. It's fine. Plus 2 to
Not bad.
cast.
Yep.
How is that like 15?
20 points.
20 points? That's
It's a little pricey, but...
Plus 2 to cast if you've got a turn that matters. I get it.
And then the Severance Bolt is, once again, you shoot off a bolt weapon, and you select one enemy character unit to do this against. And you ignore Lookout Sir, but not Bodyguard. And if it hits, you target suffers D3 mortals, and if it's a Psyker, and you roll 3d6 and beat their leadership, they lose a psychic power for the rest of the battle.
That's adorable. They'll never come up.
Yeah.
I've been playing Tyranids for about since the Codex came out, and I've never once used Psychic Scream's ability to remove
The psychic
a
power.
psychic power. It has never once come up. I've tried, by the way. I've tried. It has at no point in the past 4 years has that come
It's
up.
trolly and cool.
It
but
is so cool. Like
It's the same thing like Spell Thief, the Lord of Change.
yeah, that's
Like,
great.
it's just awesome.
That's
But
awesome, man.
it just never comes up.
Nope, it does not.
Usually it's the one you don't want to roll because your opponent has no psychic powers.
That classic.
All right, so obviously I think the visions are a lot stronger than the gifts, but I really like Servant of the Throne.
Literally all of the visions are good. And
Yeah.
Servants of the Throne, I see the appeal of Gem of Inoctu. I can see appeal.
Yeah, especially on somebody who casts.
Yeah, there's gonna be some hard
the
decisions.
Librarian.
I could see almost every character you take having at least one of these.
Yeah.
Like I could see you just taking as many as you have characters.
Yeah, they're not overly expensive, but they're not
Yeah.
just straight up cheap. All right, we've got stratagems next, and Grey Knight's got a whole host of new stratagems. A lot of their old ones just didn't make it or completely re-envisioned. So
Rest
there's
in
a
peace.
lot of new stuff here. They have the ability to psychic channel, which when they're manifesting powers, till the end of the phase, each time a psychic test is taken for the unit, you roll an additional d6 and discard one of the dice. So one way to make that Warp Charge 7 power that you really need to get off.
Yeah, that becomes very likely to pass now.
Exactly. Psychic Onslaught, this is the one you're going to see pretty often when the unit shoots with a psi weapon, +1 strength, extra AP. So this is great on a Grandmaster Dread Knight, getting that extra strength and AP on his weapons.
Yeah.
Being
+1
able to-
strength, +1 AP.
Yep,
Is that 1 CP?
1 CP.
That's good.
So you can use it on Purgation Squads, Purifier Squads with the special weapons, whatever it is. However, there is no way to make your bolt weapons psi weapons anymore.
Okay,
which
so
is
this
a
is
big
not
part
for the
of the
Stormbolters.
Exactly. There's a separate strat for them.
Alright.
Steel of Heart buffs Terminator, so we'll skip that.
Ooh,
If that
okay.
tells you anything.
Okay.
Use the shooting. Then we have Death from the Warp. When you come in from Teleport Strike, you can just add +1 to hit, which is very cool. This is in shooting phase.
Sure.
So this really helps things like Purgation Squads if they come in because they take the heavy penalty. Well, +1 to hit will help offset that. You have Powerful Adept, which increases your psychic range by 6 for a power. Pretty useful when you want to get off that vortex, that killer vortex of doom.
Vortex of Doom, it's
Yep.
still in there.
It is still in there. It's different though, and we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Purgation squads have a special one to, if they're within half range, add 1 to wound rolls. It's 2 CP though. It's pretty damn pricey.
Purgation squads, which are the heavy weapons.
Yep. So
2 CP.
it's a little pricey for that.
2 CP is a lot.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Then there's Final Justice, John. Final Justice.
Is this when you fight on death?
Fight on death. Castle
It's
and Crow.
not 1 CP.
Nope, it's not 1 CP anymore. Castle and Crow cannot use it because he has a free fight on death, even if he fought already. So, just good to have in your back pocket. Fight on death is great on something like a Grandmaster. Shadow of the Iron-Yielding Ancients. This is the one where you pick a Dreadnought and it can become a captain or a lieutenant.
Perfect. So it's a classic Space Marine stratagem. Good.
In here, they have the Acted Full Tier for 2 CP.
Machine Spirit, right?
Machine Spirit.
So this is for the Land Raiders.
This is for things like the Land Raider, John.
Yeah.
You could Active Full Tier when your garbage Land Raider is...
Excuse you, young man.
When it's damaged, you can go ahead and do that. All right, Empiric Declamation. This is their chaplain stratagem to auto-pass a litany.
Okay.
All right, one that you haven't done it, you can do it at the start of any phase, and you just automatically pass it.
And it's 2?
It's 2 CP. It's pricey.
I see the Sisters and the Thousand Sons equivalent of this strat is 1 CP.
Oh, to be so privileged.
But both Space Marines and Grey Knights, it's 2.
Space
Hey, the power armor privilege exists, so
not here though.
Not on this one.
Not on this strat.
I do now again. We don't want to spoil too much. Is there a way to make your chaplain cast on a 2+, or does he cast on 3?
Nope, he did not get. Him and the apothecary didn't get the cool stuff.
Okay, so that's how you. All right.
This is how you get your consistent chaplain stuff off.
Okay.
Then we have the 1 CP to Reza model. It cannot be free. There is no chief apothecary here. Psychic Locus. It's a 2 CP strat from the Brother Captain. If this was 1 CP, I really love it, but it's a 6-inch aura +1 to cast for your Brotherhood Strikers in 6 inches.
2 CP.
It's 2 CP. It's pricey. It's pricey, John.
2's a lot. Now here's the thing. I know you've used a lot of free stuff on me. Is there any way to make that cost less than 2 CP? There's no.
This is
I'm gonna.
AdMech aren't here, John.
Okay.
With AdMech, there's 1,000 ways to make your.
Look, all I'm saying is like this one time you had 6 CP, then you gained a CP, spent 3 stratagems, and still had 6 CP. So I was just asking.
Yep.
Okay.
That's AdMech life. That's
I didn't know if you were doing that today.
No.
All right, not today.
I wish. Then the finest. So like if the visions came with a CP reduction, oh yeah, I'd be loading up on them, but no. Finest Hour. This is a unique strat to increase the range of an aura ability by 3 at the start of any phase. So something like the OBSEC aura at the start of your command phase could become 9 inches and hit that unit on the objective, and now it's OBSEC.
Oh, that's trolly.
So I actually like this strat. It's situational, but
it's a great strat to
come
have in your pocket.
Yep. Or if you need to extend the range of Dragos
for sure,
ones,
for sure.
Yep, something like that. So
okay, I like it.
It's a nice utility strat. Thunderous Strike is also 1 CP. This is every codex seems to get it. I'm going to do random mortals to you. You make a charge with a Dread Knight model. When it finishes 2 to 5, it's D3 mortals. On a 6, it's flat 3.
I love that actually.
It's a great utility strat.
Just 2 up smite someone. 1 CP. You don't have to use it often, but when you do, just run through someone.
It's that character who's there, and they have a couple wounds left, and gosh darn it, do I not want to have to mess with them making spiking invulns on me. They're just gone.
Or like, honestly...
That's succubus, John. I'm not messing around, okay?
No, stop messing around.
She needs to be gone. I'm spending the strat. No question.
Or like, think of like whenever you charge into like Terminators, and there's a guy with 1 wound left, and you're like hawking around this big like flat 3 damage hammer, and you're like, let's just get this wounded guy out of the way real quick, and just so that this feels a little better.
You got 7 wounds? Let me make that 6
It's
real
just,
quick.
6 is a good
6.
number. 6 is a good number.
Then Grey Knight's got the stratagems to get extra relics, warlord traits, and put 1 on a sergeant. They also got the strat that Space Marines have where you can take a 2nd warlord trait on a model, which I really like.
Great. Love it. That's good value right there.
When we talk about the warlord traits, we can talk about some combos there. Then going into the strategic ploy strats, there's some really cool ones here. One of them is mental focus. You get to cast an additional power. So things like...
Is it at the end of the phase?
Until the end of the phase. So you do it in your psychic phase, and then until the end of the phase, they can attack.
Okay, so you can't come back to a guy. Because I know
yes,
at least one of them is like an end of the phase. So like you can cast with some people and then be like, you know what, that guy wants one more spell. Let's go back to him.
Yeah.
But this is
it doesn't give you the ability to go back to a caster that already started activating.
Sounds good.
So cool there. It's especially good on a Grandmaster Dread Knight, which can only cast 1 power but knows 2 and smite.
Yeah.
Gives you utility there.
Not bad value.
So you can pop off some cool powers, especially the damage ones. Then we have Fight on the Move. I love this strat. I think it's amazing. This is the strat I mentioned before. In your movement phase, when a Grey Knight teleport a unit from your army falls back, till the end of the turn, they can charge and shoot, even though it fell back. Fall back and charge 1 CP on teleporter units. That means you can take the Grandmaster Dread Knights or regular Dread Knights that you upgrade with the 10 points, or any of the Interceptor units, and just use this on them. 1 CP, it's amazing.
Yeah, it just seems like
I think
that.
this is one of the best strats that they have. Haloed and Soulfire, this is the one when you come in from reserve from Teleport Strike, that unit's just -1 to hit in shooting and combat.
Good for them.
So a little bit extra defense out of reserve. I need this unit to survive over here.
Yeah.
Boom. I'm going to try and
Keep
do it.
striking in a big thing, and it's reserves. It's not like perhaps teleporting.
Teleport Strike.
Okay,
So
teleport strike.
Yes. So that is not
That
Gate
is
of
very
Infinity.
specific. Yep. That's what I want to hear.
Purifiers have a 2 CP strat to do -1 damage when they are targeted for an attack.
Alright, that's silly. They're
Any
already,
phase.
they're already 1 wound. No?
They're 2 wounds now,
2
Joe.
wounds?
2 wounds.
Ridiculous.
So it's 2 CP, so it's a little pricey, but it doesn't change based on the model size, the size of the unit. So a 10-man Purifier unit, 2 CP, just -1 damage. You could stack Sanctuary for 4 up invuln on there. You could potentially have the Apothecary nearby.
Okay. Here's a question.
Yes.
Can Purifiers combat squad?
Yes, all the units can combat squad.
Alright, so they kept combat squad. So like
It expanded so that more units could use it.
even better. So there could be logic in taking a 10-man Purifier. And then maybe if you combat squad, you don't always need it, but you know, sometimes you will.
And they are core, so they can be affected by that OBSEC core as well. So even though it's an elite choice, it could be OBSEC. So it makes them more enticing. And they also can take extra special weapons. So it definitely makes me think about Purifiers. Then they have Orbital Bombardment, which is something
Is
that
that
everybody...
exactly what it...
Yep.
Okay, so it's terrible?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Great.
Cool. Then there is the 1 CP, the Need to Know. This is the one that people were originally talking about a lot. It's use the stratagem in your army if you only have Grey Knight detachments, no allies. And then if you're playing a mission that requires you to reveal secondary objectives, after both players have revealed it, you select one of your secondary objectives and you place it with a different one.
I mean, that shouldn't come up often if you just do your job right the first time.
Yep.
But sometimes you realize you've made a mistake. And you're like, wait.
You see your... Well, I think when it would come up is when you think your opponent is going to go super aggressive into you, and all of a sudden they take to the last and like defensive one, raise the banners, and you're like, okay, I'm going to actually have to get more aggressive on you than I originally thought. Or maybe just be based on those secondaries that the opponent now has an advantage in the game, even if it's narrow. I want to switch up a secondary and do the same thing.
And like maybe you're thinking like, hold on, Dark Elder took to the last and minimized losses. Maybe I'll rethink Assassinate real quick. Hold on, this may not have actually been wise.
Exactly.
Something
So
like that.
situationally useful. It's actually kind of cool that they're interacting.
It's
with
good to
secondaries.
have. It's good to have. I don't think it'll come up often, but you know.
I agree with that. Paladins can replace one of the psychic powers they know. Meh. Then there's Martial Prescience, which is using the fight phase when a Grey Knight unit that is set to defend is selected as the target of an attack. Unmodified saves of 6s after the enemy unit has finished its attacks is a mortal wound.
You know,
if you're about to
CP,
take a boatload of attacks, like here comes this Goths unit with 1,000 attacks. You know what? I'm gonna just try and roll a bunch of 6s here. You go ahead and give me all those.
It's
saves.
really good on a 2-up armor save. I mean, just because you're gonna get to roll a lot of them.
Yeah.
If your opponent's just dumping attacks on you.
Exactly.
Like Black Templars had something relatively similar, and when it came up, you know what? Pretty good. Pretty good.
But there are opportunities to use this, and it could help you swing a potential objective play or
100%.
something. So
I like it.
not bad. Steely Advance is the 2 CP strat to count as stationary with a Grey Knight infantry unit. This is basically to get Bolter Discipline on the move if you're not in half range. 2 CP though is pricey.
2 CP's too much. I really want this one to be 1.
Yeah, I wish.
2 CP for Marines too, and I never use it. 1 though, I would think about it.
Exactly. And then we finally get into the War Gear stratagems. We've got some cool ones here. The ability to roll in an extra die and discard the lowest when denying. just good to have.
Yeah, 1 CP. Sometimes there's a deny you want to make work, and you've got +1 on it. Sure.
Teleportation Shunt, 2 CP. So a little pricey, but this is really good. You pick a teleporter unit. So once again, interceptors, Dread Knights that have the teleporter. Instead of making a normal move with it, you just take them off the board and then set them up 9 inches away, and that unit can only use the strat once per battle. But I'm just going to pick this unit up, and now it's in your backfield.
Okay, and it's on the same turn.
Same turn.
Same turn's really big. 2 CP is a lot, but the threat of that is huge.
It's huge. All of a sudden, 10 interceptors are
I
behind
now
you.
understand why you've been painting all of these these guys with bunny ears on their backs. Makes a little more sense now.
Yeah. This is, it's a little pricey, but gosh, is it.
When it comes up, though, it's like...
But think of it like missions like Vital Intelligence, where you need to put a lot of pressure on their flank, where they want to hold those 2 objectives. I'm doing this turn 1. Start the pressure early.
I mean, just having access to this means that I have to screen out for all 5 turns.
Exactly.
And that's big. And also, you can't wrap the unit.
Nope.
Like, normally it's like 1 CP, put something in reserve, and it arrives next turn.
Yep.
This is 2 CP hurts, but because it's the same turn, I don't have a chance to readjust my screens, which means you get the value of it all the time. Definitely. So I always ask, like, hey, do you have anything in reserve? No. Do you have anything where you can put something in reserve? Yeah, I can do this. Well, I have 1 turn's heads up. And they're like, yes. I'm like, all right, great. I don't need to screen. If you tell me something enters reserve, I will go ahead and screen out then.
But they have this and Gate of Affinity access. That's really nice to have.
You can do a lot with that.
Yep.
But that one's movement phase, right?
Yep,
so you can do actions and stuff.
Exactly. And it's not setting up in the reinforcement step, so it can't be off-spec scanned either.
Oh.
How about that, John?
How about those apples? Them apples.
That's the good stuff.
No.
That teleporting units are
that.
amazing. This strat is great.
Yeah.
Mistademos is the smokescreen strat for -1 to hit on your dreadnoughts. Then there's True Silver Armor.
I'm so glad that they all have a different name.
Yes.
I have a Blessed Smoke Screen, I have Smoke Launchers, and then the Mist of Demos.
It's a cool name for the strat.
It is a cool name, but like, come on.
Come on.
Just call it Pop and Smoke.
Pop Smoke. True Silver Armor. This is their transhuman equivalent. It's 2 CP for any Grey Knight Core infantry unit, and then 3 CP if they have more than 5 models.
I don't like that costing so much.
It's pricey. And
Up to 3 hurts.
Yeah, and it's only infantry, so...
I mean, it should be. Yeah. Like, that part's okay.
I want my Grandmaster to be only mounted on 4s, 5s, and 6s, John.
Joke's on you, all my guns are strength 6.
Perfect. But, yeah, you're probably not using it too often, but when you need that thing to survive on the objective, you might be willing.
Yeah, I mean, 2 CP Transhuman was good in the old days.
Honestly, the game is kind of past Transhuman by, I'm going to be honest. Either the volume of attacks or the amount of mortals that are being put out in the meta.
But then sometimes something comes up where you're like, you know what? Yeah, I do want this.
This is worth the risk.
Like, someone just, like, charges a Demon Prince into your 5-man guys without an invuln save. You're just hanging around on objective Demon Prince charge. Like, this guy's only 6 attacks. I'm going to have someone left to fight Transhuman.
Yeah. Or it's the case where this unit that's coming in really relies on pluses to wound and turning them off.
Also very good.
So it's nice to have in the back pocket, but I don't think you're going to be using it that often. Maybe once per game, if that. Cybolt Ammunition. This is was changed dramatically. It no longer makes your bolt weapon psi, so then there's no other bonuses to that. So using the shooting phase, when using bolt weapons, unmodified hit of 6 auto wounds the target, so good against tougher targets, and +1 AP.
+1 AP is great.
+1 AP is awesome. Yeah. And that, however, if you have 6 or more models, it's 2 CP. So big units 2 CP. Others, it's 1.
Is there any other... Is this for Stormbolters or just all their guns?
Just bolt weapons.
Bolt weapon, okay.
Bolt weapons.
So probably Stormbolters.
It's really Stormbolters.
It's really Stormbolters.
Yeah.
I don't know what other bolt weapons do you have.
The Tech Marine, I think, has a regular bolter.
Good for him.
Hanging around.
Good for him. You know what? 1 CP. Cybolt Ammo.
I don't think there's many.
Yeah.
All right. Zone of...
Hold on. It's a Grey Knights unit.
Yeah.
You can do it on Land Raider Redeemer.
No, the Crusader, you mean.
Crusader.
Which has the hurricane bolt.
Yes! Bolt weapon, Siegler.
And luckily the Land Raider doesn't have 6 or more models.
So it only costs 1. Yeah, I would pay a CP for that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
If I was already running it and down that rabbit hole, of course I'd Cybolt ammo.
Lay it on me.
You got
Let's
a Cybolt
go.
ammo.
Yeah, I got a Cybolt ammo.
You're going to be sad. I'm just prepping you now.
No.
Land Raider boy.
No.
Alright, we got Zone of Warding. This is why you see warding staves now. They don't give +1 invuln in combat anymore. Instead, they give you access to this strat, which is 1 CP if it's 5 or fewer models, or 2 if it's more, and you just get a 5-up invuln on that model when When a Grey Knight unit is selected as the target of range attack, until the end of the phase, when a model is equipped with a Nemesis warding save, models in the unit get a 5-up invul.
So every unit's gonna have one warding save?
Yes.
So it's back to how the kids modeled.
Yes.
Good old GW. They
did it, because I've been stacking up warding saves, though, John. I got them all over the place.
Yep, and they will stay.
Yes.
There they will
I just
stay.
need one each. So
one each, okay.
It's not bad.
That's not bad.
But I've been building it in, usually on the Sergeant, and just have access to the Strat could be huge.
Sure.
However, Sanctuary does give a 4-up invul now, so you're using it on probably on a skirmish unit that just needs to survive.
Yeah, skirmish unit gets charged by charged by Demon Prince. It's like, let me just make sure I got a guy left.
Psych out grenade, John.
Oh, buddy.
Everybody has the psych out grenades.
Everyone's got psych out grenades.
If that unit's not within engagement range of enemies, roll a d6 on a 2-up. The closest enemy psyker within 6, invisible, suffers perils. I was going to use this on your one-wound Magnus, but unfortunately he doesn't suffer perils.
No, he doesn't.
But if
No,
he did,
he
would have been
No, he
dead.
doesn't.
He would have been memed off the table.
No way.
But it's a meme, but it could matter. And then there's frag assault launchers.
Read it to me.
You can use at the start of your charge phase. You select a Grey Knight's assault launchers unit from your army, and one enemy unit that isn't a vehicle or monster within 9 of the unit. That enemy unit can either brace or duck for cover. If it braces, suffers D3 mortals. If the unit ducks for cover, then until the end, subtract 1 from the attacks characteristic models of the unit, and they can't fire Overwatch or set to defend.
I don't know, man.
If you're running the Land Raider, you gotta spend it.
You're running the Land Raider.
You gotta spend it. And luckily, it's not an enemy unit that's visible. You can just select one behind the wall.
Characters with that.
Well, your opponent gets to choose. If
Yeah, well, I'm not going to overwatch the character now. Oh, yeah. OBS is reconnected successfully.
Hold on. Let me make sure.
Excuse you, young man. Yeah, I gotta do something here. Come on.
Reconnected. Perfect. Wonderful.
Reconnected?
John was talking about the Land Raiders far too much.
That's not possible.
It challenged the nature.
I gave them the respect
challenged
a
the nature of
venerable
time.
chassis like that deserves.
It is venerable.
It is venerable.
I wish they would just drop it 100%.
No such thing as too much Land Raider talk.
All right. So the other relics that I really like. So the Sigil is awesome. There's the Artisan Nullifier Matrix, which is a 9-inch aura of no perils, but I have to take a Librarian for it. And his only other thing is he casts 2 powers, which is cool, but he doesn't get extra. He doesn't get pluses to cast or anything.
Yeah.
And the Tech Marine used to have a 2d3 heal. Now it's only flat 3, which is still not bad, but it was nerfed. So honestly, the relics are a little on the meh side. Yeah, personally, I don't think the relics are that great. So let's head over to the Psychic Powers, where I believe there's some good stuff. So we got Gate of Infinity, still exists.
I hate that.
Warp Charge 7, it's now 18-inch range instead of 12-inch range. Can only be used on Psyker units, though, John. You cannot gate
and we're
the Land
sure
Raider.
Land Raiders are not Psychers.
They are not Psychers. You
Dang
cannot
it.
gate the Land Raider anymore. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you, but
I am heartbroken.
Then they got a new power, Empiric Amplification. This one, I think, is really quite powerful. It's a Warp Charge 7. You select an enemy unit within 12 invisible to the Psyker. Till the start of your next Psychic phase, each time an attack is made with a Nemesis or Psi weapon, so that's the special shooting weapons, or most of their combat weapons, is allocated to the model in that unit. Add 1 to the damage characteristic of that attack, John.
Holy crap.
Halber's going to damage 3. You've got things
Psi
like
weapons going to
Psi
damage
Cannon's
2.
going to damage. Well, the Silencer is damage 1 now, so it goes to damage 2. The Psi Cannon's damage 2, so it goes to damage 3.
That's really good.
It is really good.
That's really good.
That is really good.
And Dominus Discipline was the one that you could add to with the Tome of Enecto.
Yes. The gem.
Gem of Enecto.
Yep.
Alright.
So you could get these going off pretty consistent if you want to. Or you could spend that strat to roll the extra die.
12 inches is short.
It is short, but on a Grandmaster moving 9,
yeah, that could happen.
Get up there. So this is a really good Psychic power. Sanctuary is a 6. Select a Grey Knight unit with an 18. Ace and 4-up invul. So it just baseline 4-up invul. They've got rid of the stacking pluses to invulns. They didn't want to deal with that. But Sanctuary is still very good. Great defensive bonus on your Space Marines. Then you have Vortex of Doom. It is a Warp Charge 7. It picks the closest enemy unit within 12, invisible, and each other enemy unit within 3 suffers a mortal, and then the unit you target suffers 2d3 mortals instead of the potential d6. So just straight up 2d3 on the front target, and 1 for everything within 3 of it.
Well, that's just like a double smite that's Warp Charge 7.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
It is
that's
very
a good spell to have.
Yep. And if you take the Psychic Epitome Warlord trait, only the unit selected suffers the additional one. So they got rid of, hey, everything within 3 takes 2 mortal wounds.
That's good. They
headed that off.
That was unhealthy. I'm okay with this.
Warp Shaping. So Warp Charge 4 now. You select a tide that hasn't been dominant during the battle.
Tides? What are tides?
We'll get there. For some reason, they don't put that at the beginning.
Incredible.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But you select one that hasn't been selected already.
Okay.
And then Ghostly Bonds is a new one. It's a Warp Charge 5. Select an enemy with an 18 invisible, and you have the enemy's move characteristic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a bad power. It can be pretty helpful, but usually with the Grey Knight army, you can get on top of your opponent pretty quickly. So it's the least necessary, I think, out of these. Then the Sanctic Discipline. This is the one that different units know in their data sheets, in addition to Smite. Mm-hmm. So Astrolabe is known by the Purgation Squads, and it is heavily nerfed. It's still 6, but you get to reroll a hit roll now when you shoot, and the enemy unit ignores cover. So it kept ignore cover, but no longer ignores line of sight on that unit. So severely nerfed.
Yep.
And still a Warp Charge 6 for some reason. Then Purge Soul. This is the one where you compare leadership characteristics. It's meh. And then...
I don't know. They just take D3. It's not the difference.
Yeah, they just take D3.
Okay, so this is Smite with extra steps.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
And then you have Hammerhand, which is actually much improved. It used to be +1 to wound. Now it's reroll wounds.
That's pretty
for the
solid, yeah.
And Terminators know this. Strike Squads know it as well.
Okay.
Just Warp Charge 5 as well. Very easy to get off. Purifying Flame is what Castellan Crow and the Purifiers have. It's a Warp Charge 5, and it's shorter range than a Smite. It's only 9 inches, but it's flat 3 mortals, and if you roll an 11 plus, and they get +1 to cast it, it's D3 plus 3 mortals. So if you don't want to cast like 3 or 4 Smites, you could actually run a couple Purifier units or Crow and get a couple of these off. And that's a lot of mortal wounds in a turn that you're stacking up.
Not bad.
Armored Resilience. This is also one where you might use that strat to roll an additional die and just try and go for that. Find a 10 in there and get the +1 to make it 11.
If it happens to work, that's going to hurt a lot.
Armored Resilience is the one that Paladins can get. It's +1 to armor saving throws. It's a 6. So
classic +1 armor.
If this was more general, you would see it more often, but unfortunately...
Is it this target to the unit or
something? Yeah, these target the unit, except for Purge Soul.
All right.
And then Ethereal Castigation is the shoot, and then move power. So this one Interceptors know. So they can pop out of the Rhino, shoot, and then pop back in. That normal move.
Really good.
Yep. Warp Charge 6.
That's a good spell.
It's just good to have.
Yep.
Or they can just pop behind a ruin and then pop back out towards their support.
All good things here.
All good stuff. Then we have Litanies. Most of them buff melee stuff now, or do random things. Like there's a 6-inch aura +1 to cast, but unfortunately it's a Litany. So you need it to go off on a 3-up. And there's no ways to buff that except for spending 2 CP to auto.
Is there any way for chaplains to know multiple Litanies? They only know one.
They know one and the full rerolls to hit in melee.
Okay.
So
I really wish you could get them to know too.
I really wish there was any sort of relic or warlord trait to help this out.
Yeah.
The best one, in my opinion, is Words of Power, and that is you pick a Grey Knight core or character unit within 6. Each time the model makes a melee attack with a nemesis weapon, unmodified wound roll of 6, successfully wounds the target 1 additional time. So 6s are 2 wounds.
Okay.
And if the Tide of Convergence is dominant for your army, the target also suffers a mortal.
So there's been some argument over this.
Yep.
For some reason.
Because the Tide of Convergence, and let's just go to it right now.
Let's just read the Tide of Convergence. I'll put my thumb here.
Thank you, John. Tide of Convergence.
What does the Tide of Convergence do?
While this tide is dominant for your army, you add 6 to the range of those side weapons, so great for Grandmasters and your Purgation Squads, Purifiers with the specials. And then each time model in the unit makes a melee attack with a Nemesis weapon, which is pretty much all the melee weapons, unmodified wound of 6, the target suffers 1 mortal in addition to normal damage.
So I feel like if you suffer 1 mortal in addition to normal damage, and you suffer a mortal,
yep.
I feel like that's 2.
Yeah.
I feel like that's 2.
I feel like it's pretty clearly 2.
I feel like that's 2. Until someone comes down from WarhammerCommunity.com and tells me otherwise, I feel like that's 2 mortal wounds.
Yeah. Because you see how clearly they put exceptions in for other things, like Vortex of Doom. Well, like, look, hold on. Read this Vortex of Doom. Look at this. If the model manifesting this power has the Psychic Epitome Warlord trait, only the unit selected suffers. You feel like they could have put something in for this if you have Words of Power. If Words of Power is active.
These are 24 pages apart and make no reference to each other. These are separate rules.
Yep.
They're just different.
I'm on the same boat. I think this power is amazing and makes Grey Knights absolute blenders in combat.
Yep.
6 to wound being 2 mortals and 2 wounds, that's just damage. That's going to hurt.
Yep.
It's going to hurt a lot, John.
So,
So I think this is the best one. There's a couple other that are pretty decent, and like I said, the +1 to cast aura is actually cool if you could know more. But I think Words of Power is the clear standout here. And if you're running,
to give us a $5 super chat, we appreciate it so much, Gundam. You're a hero of the Imperium. Aegis Psychics says that a Grey Knight Librarian can one-shot Guilliman, or Grey Knight's the next hot thing. Grey Knight's very well may be the next hot thing. However, I'll give you a spoiler alert: a Primaris Psyker can one-shot Guilliman. And yet, we don't worry about it. Because Guilliman does not stand in front of psychic armies and just wait around. Yep. Usually. If he does, he will suffer. Don't do that.
Yep, and the combo, we'll get it to Psychic Epitome, but that's that +1 mortals when you cast a Witchfire spell, so something like Vortex of Doom.
Is Smite classified as a Witchfire anywhere?
No, I believe they're doing the Purifying Flame.
Okay. I mean, there's plenty of good Witchfires here.
You take a Librarian, you stack Vortex and Purifying Flame, and you spend the CP to roll the additional, and you just get additional. You can do an average of 11 mortals.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
If you put all the buffs on it.
It's a lot of effort. But
it's a lot of effort, and it's very short range.
I see the appeal, though.
So, I'm skeptical on it, but
it does kill Guilliman.
It can do a lot of damage.
Once.
But very much appreciate the super chat.
Yes,
Mr.
thank
Gundam.
you so much. And we'll talk about some like swords versus halberds a little bit when we get to the data sheet section.
Yeah,
but we are not ignoring that, I promise.
Don't worry about that. And if you have any other questions, feel free to super chat, and we will talk about them. So.
And these Warlord traits standing out to you?
Yes, it's called Unyielding Anvil.
Yep.
It's one of the things that Space Marines are built around. It's called Rites of War. Here, Grey Knight's got the same thing, but better.
Which is great.
So
and they needed it.
6-inch aura of OBSEC for their core characters, and if you're ready OBSEC, you cast an additional model.
Gold. Every
That's
time.
Just automatic. Just put it in the list.
Straight in there.
It's the first one in there. On top of that, they have some cool melee ones, but I want to talk about first the Fray. It's +1 to advance and charge rolls for the Warlord. However, if the Warlord makes a charge move that turn, every friendly Grey Knight core unit that declares a charge against that unit adds 1 to their charge rolls. So it also helps them come out of reserve, make reserve charges, or just help get them in there.
Could you do that on a guy who can advance and charge?
You could take the Rapier's detachment and give advance and charge, because of course you can spend that 1 CP to get a second Warlord trait.
See, that's
combos.
That's kind of cool.
That is pretty cool.
+1 advance and charge, and then you give buffs to charge that. I like that. I like that.
I'm running it tomorrow.
You're doing that.
I am doing that tomorrow.
Son of a gun. He's doing that. Okay.
So
chaos. Not even once. You're right, Gundam.
We'll see how it works. Mr. Gundam with another $5 super chat. Yes. Chaos, absolutely. Not even a single.
Once.
As soon as demons come out, you betcha I'm putting Demon Slayer on Drago.
Heck yeah. Warlord
Gets
Drago.
+1 attack. He's up to 7 attacks, and they can't take invuln saves. Oh, Nick's Fate Weaver is just gone. Single turn gone.
Oh my god, no.
Just gone.
No. No.
Crow gets the +1 to wound in melee. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Not bad. And then Nemesis Lord is the worst one in my opinion when you make an attack with a Nemesis weapon on modified 6 auto wounds. If it was an aura, definitely it'd be good, but I don't think so. And then Psychic Epitome is that one where you select a Grey Knight Psyker within 6 of the Warlord. When they cast a power from the Witchfire power, it's 1 additional mortal. So it can really add up when you cast Purifying Flame and Vortex of Doom from a Librarian.
Yep.
But those are very short range powers.
Is there any way to make a caster base cast 3? I know you can 1 CP pick someone to cast the 3rd power. Like, because you have a Librarian do Smite and those 2 spells?
The Librarian knows 2, can cast 2, and then you can spend the Strat to
so it's the Strat.
Exactly. That gets you Smite off.
Okay.
That's how you get to the average of 11.
Alright.
All right. Next up, we have the secondaries. Every book has gotten some secondaries. You must, once again, be pure Grey Knights. However, it excludes agents of the Imperium and unaligned units.
Mm-hmm. So destroy the demon?
Destroy the demon, and it's in Purge the Enemy, which is that category where you're rarely taking secondaries, because most of us don't give up kill secondaries. And boy, is it automatic if you're playing against demons. Demon Primarch is 5 points for killing one. Every demon monster is 3 points. Any demon vehicle is 3 points, and any demon unit is 1 point. This is basically what Deathwatch got for killing Xenos.
This is so much more. This is so much better.
This is even better.
It's just that there's less demon armies than Xenos armies, but like when that comes up, holy
God, put me down for the 15.
Yeah, wow. Grey Knights don't like demons.
They like getting points against demons,
They
John.
do like getting points against demons.
Then, in No Mercy, No Respite, in the second category of secondaries, there's Teleport Assault. Score 3 points at the end of a battle round if a Grey Knight's model from your army was set up from the battlefield using, or enemy units were destroyed by a Grey Knight's model from your army that was set up via Teleport Strike, which is their native reserve rule, Teleportation Shunt Stratagem, that's that 2 CP stratagem,
Or Gate of Infinity.
or Gate of Infinity. I actually like this one.
It's not bad.
It's not every time, but against an MSU army, this is actually quite strong.
Yeah, I can see it working
It's a better grinding
decently.
down.
Yeah.
Just need to kill one thing with a particular type of unit, but
Have 3 points.
you have multiple ways to set it up.
Yeah, and especially if you're already building a lot of those in your list, like you are planning
Yeah,
to.
if you're building all these teleporter units in there, I think this is actually a good secondary. Then you have the Warpcraft. This is their Psychic ritual. It's a Warp Charge 5, and it can be performed by any number of units in your army. And if a Grey Knight unit, Psyker unit, is within 3 of an objective, they can attempt to purify it. And it has no restriction on enemy models being nearby the objective, so if there's enemies on the objective, doesn't matter, you can still cast and try and do this action, which is very good. That's a huge benefit. If you do it one time, it's 1 point. If you do it on 2 different objectives, it's 2 points. 3 objectives, it's 4 points, and 4+, it's 6.
Wow.
So late game, if you have really nice board control on a mission like Vital Intelligence, you can just rack up those points in those last 2 turns, no problem.
I like it.
So I think all these secondaries actually have play. Obviously, Demons is pretty restrictive, but boy, is it actually a good secondary if you're playing Demons.
Yeah.
Giving up a guaranteed 10 points, done.
Do those exist anymore?
No, they don't, but John, I hope they come back.
All right.
I hope they come back.
Then we got a bunch of Crusade rules, which we're not going to cover
Unfortunately,
much.
going to skip.
We are going to skip that.
Then we've got the basic Grey Knight stuff that they get Knights of Titan, which is And They Shall Know No Fear, Bolter Discipline, and that is the fact their tide system. So every unit in your army has Grey Knight's keywords, so this is what you lose if you ally. If you go for AdMech allies or Custodes allies, some Base Marine allies.
Maybe even sisters.
You lose access to the tides. So what does tides actually give you? We talked about Tide of Convergence. I think this is the best one by far. It's absolutely amazing. +6 inch range on your side weapons and Nemesis weapons on 6 to wound is immortal. That's just straight up great.
It's pretty great.
Dramatic increase in power. Tide of Celerity. I like this one a lot as well. Advances and charge rolls. If you roll a 1 or a 2, they're counted as a 3.
Okay.
That's just, if you need to, that turn you
Then
need to make
6.
some charge.
If you are sick, and you know what? That's pretty good.
That's pretty good, especially
It's pretty good.
when you're building in things like advance and charge on there.
Sure.
Tide of Shadows, this is the one that you're probably starting off early game, or if your orc friend is running 9 buggies, squig buggies, you're going to probably be using this thing. When you're in terrain, you count as in, and if you're already counting as in cover, you count as in dense cover as well, so that -1 to hit. If you're not counting as in cover like a Grandmaster in terrain,
Usually not a problem, but it
it's
says we're
6 attacks, and the blade now is +1 strength, so strength 5, AP 3 instead of AP 0, and it's flat 2 damage, and 6s to wound are D3 mortals in addition to normal damage.
addition. It's not instead.
In addition,
Oh.
he can do damage,
Oh no.
and that just hits.
That hits hard.
Then he has a bunch of rules on top of that. He gets to fight on death,
Yeah.
and even if he fought that phase, there's no restriction.
Even if he fought
So
that
he
phase.
can fight 2 phases and just do a lot of damage to you.
So if he charges and dies, why is he leadership 8?
That's a great question. I don't know. He's the same leadership as a custodian guard, though, so it must be fine. But I don't know. That is bizarre. Then he has a 4 pin horn from the Iron Halo. He has the Purifier power and gets +1 to cast it. And then he also has a fight first if there are characters in engagement range of him.
Okay.
On top of that, John, you'll love this, 6 inch heroic. He has the 6 inch heroic, and that's just really powerful for messing around with objectives. Because he can be obsec as well, thanks to that aura.
That he can.
So, Crow is actually pretty cool. I like him. He's only 90 points. He went up 5 points, but is actually a beast now. So, I actually like him quite a bit. More stuff. The Librarian we talked about, you can load up on psychic powers. The Chaplain.
Is exactly a chaplain?
He's a chaplain, and boy, I wish he could get
Alright, here's the question.
upgrades.
Does the Tech Marine still give vehicles +1 to hit? It does.
Yes. He got Awaken the Machine Spirit.
Okay.
He can awaken the Land Raider, John.
Okay. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know.
Terminators are 42 points a model, and that'll tell you all you need to know about that.
Not a fan of the Terminators.
Strike squads are 22, so you can get almost 2 Strike Marines for the cost of a Terminator. That's a tough sell. Because 2 Strike Marines is 6 attacks.
Yeah, 42 is a lot.
That's too much. It's called too much, in my opinion.
Too much. I'm wondering if they could get away with being like 39, 38.
They were 38, and then they went up in this book.
Well, they gained a wound.
They gained a wound, but they were already overcosted.
Yeah.
They needed to go down.
I think 39 would be okay.
Um,
Saying we missed a lot of the HQs here. Well, we have the recording, so if we upload this after the fact, it'll all be intact, right?
Yeah, it all should be fine. But yeah, there's a bunch of HQs here. We kind of talked about them throughout. I think the Dread Knight and Drago are the standouts. Mm-hmm. The Chaplain, if you're going to run the Words of Power combo, is very good.
I think one Chaplain is still worth taking.
And then you have the Librarian if you want to do the all sorts of mortal shenanigans, but it's so short range. I'm skeptical of it, honestly. Mm-hmm. And then I actually really like Crow too. Crow is actually pretty cool.
I'm excited for you to take Crow in action.
I'm doing it tomorrow. Right? Yep.
Tomorrow. Someone's gonna kill him.
We'll find out. He's gonna kill him in return.
Oh no!
So many 6s to wound, John.
No.
We've got the Apothecary and the Ancient. They're a little pricey. They're around the 90 to 100 point category.
Yeah.
But the Brotherhood Ancient is the 6-inch aura of +1 attack.
That's just inherent now.
Yes.
That's good.
It's good. It's an
How
aura.
many points is he?
He's 100 points.
Since you kind of want some characters to slap those upgrades that we talked about on, I feel like that's probably worth it.
I found it hard to get him in range, even with the advance and charge.
Yeah.
Just because the rest of the army's moving pretty darn quick. So, I don't know if it's actually worth it. 10 more points gets you another strike squad, which just, they hit. Strike squads hit.
They do hit.
So, Paladins are 47 points, and they are honored knights, and so they don't get benefits of Brotherhood. And that tells you all you need to know about Paladins. Good night, sweet princes. You are loved.
Oh, they don't... Wait, Paladins don't get any of the order buffs?
They are honored knights, John.
No!
They are honored.
Why?
They are honored to not receive those buffs.
Why?
Don't worry, they have a 1 CP strat to switch out their psychic power.
Oh my god.
Just
That's so
feel very good about that.
Oh boy. So they don't get the rerolls from anything?
Nope.
Just like... So, like, Stern, he doesn't give it to reroll ones to honored knights and...
No, Stern gives it to ward makers.
So they don't get any of the auras?
No, so you... Yeah, they don't.
No! So, I guess they get Dragos, but, like... Oh... Gosh darn it. Why aren't my Genesters in a Genestealer cult? Why aren't Paladins in a Brotherhood? Gosh. There's no reason not to be. Ugh. Alright.
Then you've got Purifiers and Paladins. Paladin Ancient.
Servitors are just... Are they still 30 points and cheap?
They're still cheap.
Alright.
Still cheap.
You got me.
You can get 12 Servitors or Castling Crow. I went with Castling Crow for tomorrow's game because I want to put them on the table.
12 Servitors, though.
12 Servitors. Interceptors. They're only 24 points a model. They are absolutely amazing. 12-inch move.
So it's 2 points to take your troop and give them the 12-inch move and the keywords?
Yep. And they have the personal teleporter, so they have the equivalent of just fly without having the fly keyword.
That's really good.
It is. That's why I start my list with 30, John.
Really good.
Then the Purgation Squad can do the Purgation things. Less reliable now that there aren't as many ways to buff the psi weapons. There's not that +1 strength, +1 damage tide. But +6-inch range on them, not bad. They have the +1 to wound strat or the psi strat. So... decent support there, but they're really CP intensive. That's what I found in the first game I played against John. So I've kind of stepped away from them. Then you have the Nemesis Dread Knights, which, once again, they got the +1 wound. They have a 4-up invuln for force shielding. And
are they -1 damage?
No.
Okay. How many points are they?
They are 130 points base.
I mean, that's not bad.
So to add the sword, that's 15 points, and then both weapons that you want are 20 points each.
So if you buff it up,
it's on like 185 points when it's...
But like just a bare bones like distraction, just running forward. Like
yeah, they're definitely not bad, and they are also core, so they did not get restricted. They're brotherhoods, so they can get the rules. Okay. So I don't think they're bad. I don't want to load up on them. I really like the Grandmasters a lot.
Yeah, the Grandmasters seem great.
But you can only take 1 per detachment. So if you want to do single detachment, throw in a Nemesis Dread Knight or 2 in there could work. But I think I really like them a lot in the Prescient Brotherhood because you have that strat for reroll ones to hit and wound.
Yeah, that's really good value there.
Then we got the Land Raiders, John's favorite.
Land Raiders, you say?
Land Raiders, they are still the same
They
stats.
didn't bother painting Land Raider Redeemer, only these two. It's tragic. Are they the exact same?
Yep.
They're still Ballistic Skill 3. They're still a 2-up armor. They're still T8. 16 wounds is the right number.
They have 6 attacks, though, John.
How many points do they? Skill 6, okay.
Then the Razorback and the Rhino. The Rhino is the trusty vehicle.
Stormhawk Interceptor is exactly what it used to be.
Yep.
Okay.
All the other things.
Storm Talons, I keep forgetting that they added those two, and there was no reason at all.
They're all the same as the Space Marine book.
Stormhaven.
So that we'll just skip them.
All right, hold on. How many points is a Land Raider? Do you remember?
It's like 265, right?
Is it 265? I was going to say 285. If it's 265, is Value Town. 285.
285, okay.
See, 265, 100% in. 285, too much. That's the problem right there.
Before you add the weapons in, though.
285.
Gotta get that multi-melted for 25 extra points.
Why is the multi-melted 25?
Yeah. Alright, let's talk about the weapons.
Alright.
Weapons were updated significantly. So let's go for... I talked about the heavy side weapons when I talked about the Grandmaster. I think they're both still very strong. Then we have the Incinerator, the Flamer that nobody ever took. I still think it's pretty bad. It's 15 points now. It's heavy D6, strength 6, AP 1 damage, and auto hits.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Psi Strat, it goes to strength 7, AP 2, 1 damage. But still D6 shots. There's no strats.
So they're
Immortals on
not
it.
Psi weapons, so they don't benefit from the 2...
Oh, actually, yeah, they're not Psi
Plus
weapons.
one
Never mind,
damage?
they're not Psi weapons.
Goodness.
They're terrible.
Okay.
They're garbage.
Can you make them ignore cover?
No.
No?
If you take them on a Purgation Squad and cast
Yeah.
Astral Aim, they ignore cover.
I mean, I like to ignore cover fingers. I'm checking the points cost on the Land Raider because several people disagreed. They are 285, and this was printed after the Munitorium Field Manual, so lol, get wrecked.
Is it 265 in the Minotaur?
Well, it just went up 20 points.
Nerfed.
Dang
See,
it.
They knew John was coming with his Land Raider
They knew I was
shenanigans.
up to
Get out of
something.
here. 20
They
more
knew I
points.
was up to something. All right. All right.
So that's cool.
It's not great.
It's not great.
It's not great.
The Silencer switched. It's still 6 shots, but it's strength 4, AP 1 damage. So not D3 damage, but it gained an AP. And honestly, with the strat bringing it up to strength 5, AP 2,
Yeah.
it's not terrible. I actually still like the Silencer. Nice volume of fire, good AP, and ignore cover with Astral Aim. And then Psy Cannons are much improved. They went down a shot, so they're only heavy 3, but they're strength 7, AP 1, and they're flat 2 natively. So with that stratagem to get them to, if they're in the Empiric Amplification, getting them damage 3 is cool, or just strength 8, AP 2 damage. It's not bad.
You ready to talk melee weapons? That's what I'm excited about.
Let's talk melee weapons.
Let's do it.
All right, John. We have the... let's start with the Falchion.
Okay.
All right. So this used to be the auto take in 8th edition, and then it slowly became warding staves.
Yeah.
So Nemesis Falchion is strength user. It's AP 2 1 damage, and it gets +1 attack.
1 damage.
It's 1 damage.
Oh.
However,
Is it free now?
yes, it's free.
Okay.
They're all the same points, which is free.
Okay.
Except for the hammer. The hammer's
Yeah.
not free.
Okay.
But if the hammer was free, things would get silly.
Yep.
But +1 attack, you can stack a lot of attacks. So like they're flat 3 attacks now, a base. Sergeant's 4, the Justicar. And then if they have Falchions, that's 4 attacks. And
5 if you're rapiers and you do a strat.
Exactly. So they
Or a spell.
A spell.
That's...
They can
it's
pump
not
out a lot of attacks.
insignificant.
And they have Hammerhand now, so reroll wounds instead of +1 to wound.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then with a Rapier strat, 6 to hit or additional hits, so the volume really helps there. Plenty of 6s to wound. So I think Falchions are still pretty good. You're not going to take them all over the place, but they're competing with the Nemesis Force Halberd, which is +2 strength, strength 6, AP 2 2 This is just good. That's a great profile for the meta.
+2 strength?
+2 strength, so
So
wounding
strength
things on
6.
wounds T3 on 2s or natively don't need the reroll wounds.
Yep.
I
Wounds,
love
T6 on 4s, T5 on 3s helps a lot.
Yep. I love these on interceptors because they don't have Hammerhand,
Yep.
and Falchions on the Strike Marines where they do have Hammerhand.
Okay.
Then we got the Force Sword, which is only +1 strength, but it's AP 3 2 damage.
AP 3, when you consider the amount of ignore AP 1 and 2, that is a real.
It is real.
Do you feel like you have enough mortal wound output and stuff to cut through?
I do.
Okay.
I feel the mortal wound output is enough to get through.
Get through
Have
Scutari.
crippled Scutari breaks. Yeah.
And you're not damage 1, so they're not getting their +1 save even if they're getting a 4-up.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So I don't mind that. It's just volume. The volume will get through them. And then you have the warding stave, which is +3 strength, only AP 1 but 2 damage. So strength 7, AP 1, 2 damage, not a bad profile either. Auto cannon.
1.
Yep.
One of those.
And then you
good.
bring it in for the stratagem.
Yep.
So those are the weapons overall. We don't really need to go through the points. I'm sure everybody has them, but we went through a couple of them. Overall, thoughts on the book, John? The combination.
They're still very elite. I like the combos. I'm personally excited for them. I don't think they're broken. I think that it'll take a little bit to figure out exactly how they're going to play. But there's a lot of cool tricks in there. It's just you got to do very different than what you've been doing.
You are not sitting behind a wall shooting people turn after turn.
Good. That was so boring.
I like that this is a very different play style. So it's very melee oriented, very speed oriented. I think that, like I've been saying, the teleporter keyword has so many powerful rules associated with it. It's just so good. So I love interceptors. I love the Dread Knights with the teleporter upgrade on it. I think they're extremely strong. Grey Knights actually have consistent psychic damage now without having to be in the tide.
Very new.
Which is very new. I've gotten a super smite off like twice per the 2 different games I played, and both times it felt really great to have that. I think overall, they're not reliant on any one thing, and so I think that helps them be a little more flexible than they otherwise would have.
Yeah.
But Words of Power plus the sheer volume of melee attacks, especially in the Rapier's detachment, that seems like the straight power combo that they have.
Yeah.
That just does a crazy amount of damage.
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, you saw the one unit go into John's pink horror unit, and he was like, cool, I'm not going to split. No.
Yeah, like this entire thing's dead.
He's just gone.
Yep.
So I think that's the most powerful thing that they have, but I don't think it's entirely necessary because the meta right now is very MSU oriented. There's a lot of T3 in the game right now. Do you actually need 20 mortal wounds and 40 saves on a unit? Not as much. If it's shifted back towards more durable things like Death Shroud Terminators and Dark Angel Terminators, that type of stuff, vehicles, then I could see this being your go-to.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary, but it is really nice. It means you can split your attacks, very often and get the damage you need to. So I think that's the best combo that they have. I really like the Prescient Brotherhood as well. The Stratagem and the Warlord trait for the gaming this AP. I think that's a nice package. So I'm going back to running that with the Patrol with the Grandmaster, who's going to kind of play my defensive, just shooting linebacker role. And then I have the other Grandmaster with the Advance in Charge, the plus and the First to the Fray. Yep. Get him in there, and he has if he gets targeted in shooting, is just going to fly away. Just in case I want to take him out. Annoying. The other guy has 3-up invul. He can pop and just try and tank. So I think overall, I really like Grandmaster Dread Knights. Drago's awesome. I like the tricks that Castle and Crow has.
Yep.
Don't know if they're necessary, but man, he can mess up your plays on objectives.
For sure.
So it's worth trying. I really like the different the visions instead of the gifts. The visions they're all useful. Unfortunately, I just run out of non-name characters to take them, and so I have to pick and choose what I want.
That's the biggest problem.
But otherwise, I think there's play. I think that tree is very good specifically.
Yeah.
So overall, I don't think this Grey Knight book has any obscene things that are going to get FAQ'd and fixed. So I think this book is going to stay for a while without any fine tunings. Maybe they'll get. I really hope that the Paladins and the Terminators come down in points. I was hoping they would either get an extra defensive rule in their data sheet, or they would get something that would really help them out. Yeah. They just don't do enough. You compare them to Dark Angel Terminators, Death Guard Terminators. It's not stacking up.
Yep, so I agree.
I think they are just buying away some of the worst units in there, not counting some of the vehicles. So that's unfortunate because Terminators are one of the main ways to play Grey Knights, but I'm very excited about the playstyle. I want to just fine tune what units I have and get them all built and painted. But we're going to test it out tomorrow in a stream game on YouTube. I'm going to play my updated Grey Knight list into John playing his Ultramarine successors.
I'm playing the Emperor's Spears from Blight Dwarf Supplement.
I think that should be a really good game, a fun back and forth one, and that is for Nurgle Matt, who is in the chat. So let's go back to some of the questions that we had up here. All right, Mr. Carey was talking about how do I make a full infantry horde of Necrons work. If you want, I think there's 2 ways to do it. You either run the Silent King and you try and go for offense, bring them back into terrain, take as much damage as possible, pull them back, and then in your command phase, your opponent hasn't finished them off. You use the Ghost Arc,
The Resorb.
The Resorb, Rites of Reanimation, whatever it is, to try and get enough models back that you get back onto the objective and obsec it away in your command phase so that you score those points at the end of the command phase. I think those are the two styles that you want to go for. I think the obsec style is more consistent because the damage one is very meta dependent, in my opinion.
Yep.
So I think those are the best ways that you can do it. If you want examples of it, a couple weeks ago I ran a Mephrit list that tried to do damage with the Necron Warriors into Nyx Space Wolves with the Silent King. So if you want that example, and then if you go back a couple more weeks, maybe like 4 or 5, I played my custom Dynasty list into Nyx Drukhari. That was pre-nerf Drukhari, but I only lost by 2 points, and it's a great way to see how you can play the Necron Warrior units and get the most out of them. So definitely worth doing there. Castlin Crow. Let me see if I can get him to look good on here.
So,
kind of good.
Kind of good. I'm very excited to see this man on the table.
Anyway,
I wish I had Aberrants from him.
I put some light armor to stand out as a Purifier should, and I'm very excited to get him on the table. Yeah.
He looks so Primaris.
He is Primaris sized. Here, I have a regular Grey Knight, John. He looks like he's
like there is nothing.
He's got the studs.
Can you put a hand up behind that? Yeah. So just size wise here, like I'm trying to hold up the feet even. This guy's Primaris.
Yes.
His legs, like he's got the.
So Grey Knights probably won't get that treatment. They'll just slowly be updated to be larger models. I feel.
Yeah.
I wish they did Drago honestly, because he's still a fine cast model. Yeah. But I think they're still figuring out what to do with Terminator armor. Maybe for Grey Knights they'll introduce Terminator armor that's Primaris size.
But
or he'll get Gravis.
Crow's been hitting the gym.
Crow has been hitting the gym.
He has been carrying the weight of this demon sword for so long that he is now strong enough to lift it, as well as the entire team on his back. Castellan Crow is a big boy now.
The stream admins are gone.
Nah, we're back. Don't worry.
The stream admins are here to stay. We are administratum. Let's see. Grey Knights sound great. I think this is a book that you can really grow into. Yeah. And I feel like if they're like a supplement or something away from just getting an extra level of power that'll keep them up there for a while. But if you just think about Space Marines, John, right?
Yeah.
What are the core of Space Marines? They have some very fast, hard-hitting melee units.
Yep.
They have efficient tools for playing the mission.
Agreed.
Particularly the OBSEC aura.
Love that.
And then they hit very equally hard in shooting in combat when they need to, depending on what build you go for. And Grey Knights can build either way if they want to. Yeah. So I think baseline they have the tools that have kept Marines at that A-tier level, and I think Grey Knights can stay up there. Yeah. They have a couple differences. They're a little more elite, but they have psychic powers and tools in general that other Marine chapters don't have access to. I think they can do well.
I'm with it.
Any other questions? Thanks for the review. Excited to see what White Dwarf Emperor Spears do into Grey Knights. We are going to find out. I am excited too, because John has talked a big game about the Emperor Spears.
Cannot wait for that. We're going to unleash the Emperor Spears.
Do you actually have the White Dwarf with them?
I do. I have the rules. I ordered it a while ago, so I had it for reference.
Well, legit. Games Workshop would be proud.
Absolutely. We're going legit here.
But otherwise, thanks everybody for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the PC and try and work and see what the issues were with OBS. Maybe some of the settings were accidentally changed in OBS, but I will find out. That. And we will get it sorted for tonight when we do 40K today and talk about all the cool stuff that's coming up. Warhammer Plus has released a lot of stuff, or a lot of preview stuff. So
there's a lot to talk about.
Have they done any more Octaria stuff yet?
They have not today, but today was a Black Templar.
Oh, that's
model.
Right. They have a new flamer.
They did the Warhammer Plus preview this weekend where you could watch Old Baelai, which was actually I actually kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I don't know if you watched it.
I didn't watch it yet.
I thought it was good.
Scaria said he really enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
So, you like the purple icon? I've switched up the members icons to be more colorful, so definitely look forward to those. John, is the rumor true that GSC is the next codex in December that you would like to see? Or what would you like to see?
If that rumor is true, which I am crossing, all 3 of my hands for. Wait a minute. I'm really hoping Jane's Third Cult is coming soon. I would love to see a complete workover. I really want to see more cult-oriented tricks, more espionage and sneaking around, and more, ambushing the opponent and debilitating them. I would love to see more effective ways to get into combat than 3 command points for 1 unit to get a buff. Yeah. You see things like Miracle Dice or Deep Striking Closer or something. I mean, I just every time I compare Cult Ambush to Honor to Prince, I actually want to punch Mark. Then I look at Mark and realize I shouldn't do that. So, you know, Mark like gives me like the old like shake a fist and like, you're right, I will not punch you, because I'm a small man and scared. Yeah. Oof.
Can we get a Custodes icon for 1-year members?
Yeah, we should get a Custodes emote.
We can work on
We can work
Custodes.
on that more.
I would like a Custodes emote.
Custodes deserve a little more respect. Maybe Custodes will be coming soon. I would love to see it.
Unstoppable Destroyer.
I'll see you now later.
Hell yeah. That's how we want it. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed our review of some of the best rules in the book. You know, we don't get the preview copies, unfortunately.
Nope.
So we only got the book a little while ago, but we want to just sit down, still break through it, and give you our, you know, thoughts of how Grey Knights are going to evolve in the meta and what to build around. So I'm going to be trying that out tomorrow, and fingers crossed the Grey Knights perform. And Castle and Crow, I can't wait to get him on the table.
All right. Can't wait to see how he does.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you tonight for some 40K today
All
with
right.
Brad Chester and I.
Bye-bye.
So long.
Dive even deeper into competitive 40K and become a member of the world's most knowledgeable and positive community.
The War Room is an exclusive group that brings together the world's best 40K players as coaches to help anyone from a newer player to an experienced tournament veteran learn, grow, and reach their goals within our shared hobby.
Each week we offer a variety of live stream coaching matches centered around illuminating the thought process and in-game decision making of top players. We explain everything we're doing and why.
You'll learn about the ever-evolving meta, match play mission theory, list making, and discussion of every faction in the game, and have access to analysis of all the latest rules. Our team of highly experienced coaches teach weekly clinics on each individual faction, strategy sessions on deployment and cool tricks, and meta-analyses each week during Meta Monday.
We are committed to not only providing the best knowledge for players available, but also building a one-of-a-kind community.
Come be a part of the War Room.